is nice to meet you all after a short quarantine period which I followed in my house, and I hope you guys are also following the WHO norms strictly, like washing your hands regularly and maintaining social distancing and all the other norms that are being put forth by the WHO, as well as our government. Our government is also very keen in our health and well-being, so they have given lots of protocols to be followed, to stay at home, and even if you have to come out, it should be only for the emergency reasons, and such rules are being implemented, and the roads are empty now. Even today when I was coming to my work, I found the roads empty and it was easy for me to drive. And even here in Cauvery News, we are following the norms of WHO very strictly. We are sanitizing the products that we use regularly. Like for example, this mic which I am wearing now is my mic, and I sanitize it, and only I touch it and only I can use it because it is closer to my mouth. And the mic that Karthik uses is his mic, and only he sanitizes it and only he can touch that. And even the other editors and graphics people and all others are also taking care of their systems, and they are sanitizing it properly. And we are also following strict social distancing in our office, and we are pretty good at following the norms of the WHO as well as the Indian government, and I hope you guys are doing the same also. And now let's go into today's episode. In today's episode, we are going to see about the alien metal gold. You might not be quite sure why I call it the alien metal now, but you will understand in a while. This video is actually the English translation of the video done by Karthik about gold. So let's get into today's episode. Gold, the shiny yellow metal prized for its beauty and malleability and used in many different industries, is actually created inside massive stars when they explode into a supernova, and hence it is called an alien metal. There are millions of constellations and billions of stars in the galaxy, and we all know that. Theory says that stars are made of the light element hydrogen. So there are many different types of energy releases and nuclear fusion that happens inside a star. Actually, this is the same process that makes a star twinkle. So when those processes continues for millions of years, the lighter element hydrogen becomes heavier elements of helium, carbon and oxygen. The next step in this process is that this mass becomes iron and nickel. In this step, the energy released during nuclear fusion is trapped and pulled towards the center of the star, and the star is in this state for another few million years. Then the star bursts because of the pressure, and this is known as the supernova. We all have heard of that for sure. There is also a popular theory that that was exactly how planets were formed. So after the Big Bang, the proton and electron formed neutron. Then the iron group of elements absorb those neutrons. According to the mass of neutrons absorbed, elements like gold, silver, lead and uranium is created. All these processes are happening on the young Earth, which was created after the Big Explosion. By studying ancient rock samples with high precision instruments, scientists have found evidence that accessible gold, or the gold that is technologically and economically feasible to reach on the surface of the planet, arrived via asteroids when the Earth was still fairly young. I hope you're getting what I am saying. The Earth was fairly young, and that time there were no much life organisms on the planet, and there were other various phenomena happening around the space in the galaxy, like meteors were falling, and planets were formed, universe were being formed, and our solar system itself was fairly new. So during the era, asteroids were the ones that brought gold to the planet's surface when Earth was still young. So here's another interesting fact. During the initial formation of the planet, heavy iron sank into the middle to form the planet's core. We all know that the Earth's surface is divided into several layers. We all learnt in geography about this, the layers of the Earth, the layers of the atmosphere and all those. So, this iron sunk into the middle to form the planet's core, which is the center part or the last layer of the sphere, we can say. So, this iron took other heavy elements like gold along with it when the core was forming. That is where most of the gold on the planet should be rather than on the crust, which is where we find it now. Because the gold is near to the Earth's surface, humans have been able to stumble across it above ground and extract it through mining. Scientists say that gold is actually 10 times more common in the planet's crust than they would expect it to be if it came here when the Earth was still forming and molten hot. This lends credence to their conclusion that gold must have arrived on Earth later, and it is likely that asteroids carried it here. It is fair to conclude that gold comes from outer space. Now let's see how are different gold deposits formed. So there are different kinds of accessible gold deposits on the planet. They have been found in streams, in the sides of rocks, and of course under the earth. And at different times in the Earth's history, hot fluids circulated through gold bearing rocks, and because of the weight and chemical properties of gold, it may have been carried off to form a vein or a lode. In other instances, gold flakes and nuggets broke off and were carried away by water's currents. Since gold is relatively heavy, it sinks to the bottom of the streams and riverbeds or any other water source. So, according to estimates, all of the gold ever mined in the history of humanity amounts to about 152,000 metric tons, which is 1,52,000 metric tons. This sounds like a lot, but it actually is not too much. Scientists believe that there is actually 8 times more gold in and under the oceans than has ever been mined close to the planet's surface. Like the gold that is probably floating in the Earth's molten core, most of the supply of the precious metal is inaccessible or too expensive to mine. 80% of gold deposits are still unmined. Now let's see some interesting facts about gold. I have already covered a few interesting facts like gold was first discovered by men after millions of years of its formation. Then the next fact is that there is a theory that more gold deposits may be found under the sea than on land. Then the next one is that it is estimated that 2 crore to 10 crore of gold deposits might be found under the oceans. For every cubic mile distance in the sea, there might be 25 ton of gold deposits. Many space agencies have projects to travel to other celestial bodies, and one among their aims is to search deposits of elements including gold. The next fact about gold is that many thousands of civilizations were destroyed because of gold. When men first saw the value of gold, humans started going on expeditions in search of gold. On their way, they robbed and killed small communities, thereby killing the civilization. Few well-formed and civilized kingdoms also committed this crime in order to fill their treasury with gold. So when first gold was found and when it was used for commercial purposes, almost all kingdoms, all groups of human beings that were on the planet of the earth were in search of gold, and that led to many unfortunate incidents. When wars were lost, the victorious team first goes in search of gold in the enemy territory. We all know about this practice that when two kingdoms are at war and one kingdom loses, the kingdom that won goes into the fallen territory and they loot all kinds of stuff from their territory, like people, men, women and children. They take them for slaves and prisoners, and then they take their livestock for themselves, and they also take all their precious metals and jewels, which includes gold. So mostly they go in search of gold at such situation, because gold was the it was a very common metal, but it was very precious and costly, and it had great value in the market even back then. Next fact is that gold deposits are in all the 7 continents, and one important fact about gold, I should say, when Egyptian kings die, they were buried along with their gold crown and other gold items to use in their afterlife. We all know that the Egyptians believed in life after death, and when a king or a pharaoh dies, he was buried along with his things that he used to use every day, which are mostly made of gold and other precious metal, and his servants were also buried along with him, because they believed that in the afterlife the pharaoh would definitely need the help of his servant. And when people from other kingdom, especially looters and nomadic tribes and thieves, when they heard about all this tradition being followed in the Egyptian empire, they began to go in search of such pyramids and tombs to loot or to steal all those objects. So gold was so very important for anyone's economy, be it a single person's economy or a kingdom's economy, from the very ancient times. Until 1961, many Western countries' economy and the currency value was based on the amount of gold in that country. The melting point of gold is 2063 degree Fahrenheit. Gold is also best conductor of electricity, plus gold is used in many space research equipments. India is the biggest consumer of gold. Gold is extremely ductile. A single ounce of gold, which is about 28 grams, can be stretched to a length of 50 miles long wire of 5 microns wide. Gold threads can be used in embroidery, and that is how we get silk sarees and other silk attire. Malleability is a measure of how easily a material can be hammered into thin sheets. Gold is the most malleable element. A single ounce of gold can be beaten into a 300 square foot sheet. A sheet of gold can be made thin enough to be transparent. Very thin sheets of gold may appear greenish blue because gold strongly reflects red and yellow. We all have our doubts when it comes to carat of gold. So let's know a little something about that. Pure elemental gold is 24 carats, while 18 carat gold is 75% pure gold. 14 carat gold is 58.5% pure gold, and 10 carat gold is 41.7% pure gold. The remaining portion of the metal usually used in gold jewelry and also other items is silver, but it can also consist of other metals or a combination of metals such as platinum, copper, palladium, zinc, nickel, iron and cadmium. This is all from me right now. Stay connected with the Outdoor Woman, and before I end today's episode, I would humbly request you all to stay quarantined and follow the rules of the WHO and the Indian government. Keep washing your hands often before touching a kid. Please do wash your hands and then go near a kid, and please do not step out of the house just because you are bored. Unless it is very important, like medical emergency or for food necessities, please do not step out of your house, and make use of this quarantine period to catch up with your hobbies and to text your long lost friend, and to read the books that you have always wanted to read. And if you are not interested in any of those, you can always watch all the episodes of the Outdoor Woman. I'm sure I did not give you any boring subjects, and so stay safe, stay quarantined. This is Nisha PS.